Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is something most women never realize until it's too late. When a man begins falling in love with you, he doesn't confess, he doesn't admit it. He doesn't even show it directly. Instead, he tests you quietly, subtly, in ways you won't understand until you look back. And Carl Jung said something powerful. People reveal their unconsciousness through their behavior, not their words. That means a man's love isn't shown through big romantic gestures, it's shown through the small, psychological tests he can't control. And if you don't understand these tests, you might think he's losing interest, you might think he's pulling away. You might think he doesn't care, but in reality, he's falling deeper, harder, and more seriously than you think. So stay with me, because once you understand these hidden tests, you'll finally see the truth behind his behavior. And you'll know exactly what he's trying to find out about your heart. Asterisk the beginning of his silent testing. Asterisk when a man starts developing feelings, something strange happens inside him. Carl Jung called this an activation of the anima, the emotional feminine energy inside every man. This is the part of him that feels, loves, hopes, and fears heartbreak. And because that fear awakens at the same time as love, he becomes cautious. Not because he doesn't want you, but because he wants you too much, and that scares him. So he won't ask you directly, "Can I trust you? Will you hurt me? Are you real?" Instead, he tests you. He watches your reactions. He studies your small choices. He notices what you tolerate and what you don't. For him, love isn't a question, it's an observation. And the first sign appears when he becomes just a little inconsistent. Not to play games, but because he wants to see something deeper. Do you panic when he pulls back for a moment? Or do you stay calm, confident, and sure of yourself? A man falling in love is terrified of choosing a woman who needs constant reassurance. He wants a woman whose stability calms him, not one who adds emotional chaos. So when he becomes slightly distant, it's not rejection, it's a test of your emotional balance. Asterisk the unspoken test of patience. Asterisk the next test comes through time. A man in love wants to see if you understand that real connection cannot be rushed. He observes how you react when things move slowly. He wants to know, do you trust the pace? Or do you demand control? Carl Jung wrote that love must grow naturally, not through force. A man who is falling for you wants to feel that he can breathe around you. That you won't suffocate him with expectations. That you can let things unfold, rather than grabbing them with fear. If you allow space, if you allow silence, if you allow natural growth, you pass one of the most important tests a man will ever give. Asterisk the test of emotional safety. Asterisk, but the biggest test, the one he doesn't even know he's giving, is this: can he be emotionally vulnerable with you? A man might show the world his strength, but he only shows his weakness to a woman he's falling for. And even then, he's terrified of it, so he gives small hints, a stress he hasn't talked about, a fear he hides from everyone, a disappointment he rarely shares. And he watches, not for your advice, but for your energy. Do you judge him? Do you interrupt him? Do you make it about yourself? Do you rush to fix him? Or do you listen, quietly, softly, allowing him to open at his own pace? Carl Jung said that true intimacy begins when two people can share the depths of their psyche, without fear. So when a man tests your emotional safety, he isn't being difficult, he's checking if his heart will be safe in your hands. Asterisk the start of his hidden loyalty test. Asterisk, and then comes the loyalty test. Not the obvious one, not jealousy, not control. A man who is falling in love wants to see, are you someone who stands strong even when things aren't perfect? So he observes the little things, how you talk about people who hurt you, how you react when plans change, how you treat him on his bad days, how you behave when he disappoints you for the first time. These moments reveal loyalty more than words ever could. For Jung, loyalty wasn't about actions, it was about character. The character always reveals itself under pressure. This is where most women fail the test without realizing, not because they are wrong, but because they don't know what the test is. A man doesn't want blind loyalty. He wants authentic loyalty based on emotional maturity, not desperation. And once he sees that in you, his feelings deepen beyond anything he can control. Asterisk when a man reaches the point where he sees loyalty in you, something shifts inside him, not dramatically, not in a movie-style way, but quietly, deeply internally. Carl Jung explained that when a man connects emotionally, his unconscious begins to merge with yours. This is what Jung called psychological bonding, the moment when a man's heart starts choosing you even before his mind admits it. But that bonding comes with fear, because now he has something to lose, and that's when his next hidden test begins. The test of your true intentions. A man falling in love becomes incredibly sensitive to intention. Not words, not actions, but intention. He watches. Do you want him, or do you want the idea of him? Do you appreciate him, or do you just want attention? Do you like his soul, or only his presence? A man can feel the difference, even if you don't say anything, even if you act perfectly. Jung said that human intuition becomes strongest when the heart is vulnerable. So a man falling in love becomes deeply intuitive, even if he doesn't understand why. This is where he brings out the small mistakes test. He might show up late once, he might get annoyed. He might not text back instantly, he might say something without thinking. Not to disrespect you, not to hurt you, but to see your intention behind your reaction. Do you explode? Do you guilt trip him? Do you punish him with silence, or do you respond with emotional maturity? A woman with pure intentions doesn't make his mistakes about her worth. She sees the situation for what it is, a moment, not a pattern, and when he sees that, he feels something he hasn't felt in years, safety. The test of emotional pressure. A man falling in love will always, without fail, test your reaction to pressure. Not because he wants to stress you, but because he wants to know, will you still choose a connection when things get difficult? This is not a conscious test. Men don't sit and plan this. It's an unconscious instinct Jung often described as an instinct to protect their heart from someone who only stays for the sunshine. This is why, right when he starts loving you, he might suddenly become quieter, take longer to reply, focus on work, pull back emotionally, not because he's losing interest, but because he wants to see if you're the kind of woman who collapses under emotional pressure. A man falling in love needs to see that you don't panic, don't assume the worst, don't chase, don't beg for reassurance, don't punish him emotionally. Because if pressure breaks the connection, he knows it wasn't strong enough to last. But if you stay calm, if you trust the bond, if you give space while staying emotionally stable, he feels something extremely rare, a woman who gives love without fear. And that makes him fall harder. The silence test, the one women hate the most. Yes, this is the most difficult one, and the one where most women misunderstand the man completely. At some point, he becomes silent, not fully distant, just a quieter. This happens when his feelings get too intense. Jung explained this as the masculine psyche returning to its inner cave, a place where he processes emotions alone. He doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want to explain, he doesn't want to unpack his feelings out loud. He withdraws a little, not from you, but into himself. And this is where your reaction becomes everything. If you panic, accuse him, assume he doesn't care, demand emotional access, try to force connection, he feels threatened, overwhelmed, misunderstood. But if you stay calm, if you respect his silence, if you give him space with warmth, not fear, he realizes something powerful. You are the woman who understands him without needing constant reassurance. And that makes him fall in love more deeply than any words could ever express. The test of your boundaries. After silence comes the next layer, your boundaries. A man falling in love wants to know the truth. Do you love yourself enough to say no? Do you respect yourself? Do you tolerate disrespect? Because a man knows this, if you don't respect yourself, you will never truly love him in a healthy way. So he observes how you handle disrespect from others, what you allow in your life, what you say no to, how you protect your emotional energy, how you communicate your needs. A man in love doesn't want a woman who sacrifices herself for him. He wants a woman who stands strong next to him. Your boundaries tell him everything he needs to know, your maturity, your strength, your self-worth, your emotional identity. And when he sees strong but gentle boundaries, he knows he can build a future with you. Because your love comes from confidence, not fear. He tests your emotional presence in the most subtle way. A man in love will sometimes go silent, not because he wants to ignore you, but because he wants to see. Will she still stay emotionally connected, even when I'm not perfect? Carl Jung said something powerful. We all fear showing our true self, because we fear it won't be accepted. So he gives you a situation where he's quieter, distracted, less expressive. He's not pushing you away. He's watching how you react to his emotional storms . Because the truth is, men fall deeper for the woman who stays kind even when he's operating from his shadow. If you panic, chase, or fight, he thinks, she only loves my light. But if you stay stable and warm, he realizes, she accepts the whole of me. He tests whether you see his soul beneath his strength . Men hide so much behind confidence, humor, ambition, discipline. But the one woman he loves, he wants her to see the fragile, soft, vulnerable part he hides from the entire world. So he'll share something small, something from childhood, a failure, an insecurity, a regret. And he watches. Do you judge him? Or do you make him feel safe? When a man tests you this way, he's silently begging, please don't leave when you see the real me. If you handle this moment with softness, he bonds with you in a way he will never bond with anyone else. He tests if you are his peace . This is the test that determines everything. This is the one that decides whether he will commit fully or pull away. Because a man in love doesn't want fire. He wants peace, stability, and emotional understanding. He'll observe how you speak, how you respond under stress, whether you blame or communicate, whether you escalate or calm the room, whether you understand or assume. Men choose their future based on one question: can I build a life with her, or will I be at war every day? If you respond with wisdom and maturity, he sees you as the woman he can trust with his life, his heart, his future. But the most important test is the final one, the one that reveals everything about how deeply he's fallen. He tests whether you love him. Without him asking for it, this test is silent, invisible, often misunderstood. He'll want to see if you love him for his presence, his effort, his values, his soul, not for validation, compliments, gifts, attention, or social advantage. So he watches whether you appreciate the little things. Notice his efforts, support him without being told. Celebrate him when no one is watching, because a man in love wants a woman who chooses him emotionally, not just romantically. Jung said, the meeting of two souls is a recognition, not a negotiation. And when he tests this, he's really asking, will you love me from the heart, not from the ego? The final realization. Here's the truth. When men fall in love, they don't confess. They test it. Not because they doubt you, but because they doubt themselves. They want to know if their soul is safe with you. They want to know if you see the man behind the mask. They want to know if you'll stay when life gets heavy. And when you pass these tests, that's when a man finally thinks, she's the one. She's the woman I can give my entire life to.